Hello, my name is Audrienne now. So the theme of this TEDx is death, right? So let me take you somewhere where you'll be able to look deep within yourself, deep within your emotions and mental health, and deep within your own brain. How does your brain work? And how are we able to process information and emotions? All of our brains function differently, but in a unique way. But how? As a student, I'm constantly craving for new knowledge and ideas, especially in an area that I'm fascinated by. Right now, my young mind is captivated by the fields of neuroscience and psychology. However, as a student, I also need to start to find a way to find a purpose in my life and to waddle through the obstacles. I'm so young, but I'm just so lost. And all I know right now is that I have to graduate soon and get my butt to college. But then what happens next? How am I going to keep myself sane and deal with all the stress and responsibilities I'm soon going to endure? And as you can see, stress and anxiety can just build up. And it's not only for me. Everyone experiences stress. Even the little things can mean so much to us. I know there's probably someone in the crowd today who's stressing about work. And there's probably another person who's stressing about whether they should do their laundry tonight. Hopefully, I'll be able to guide you and myself throughout this talk to a place where we can find answers, or at least some insight. Although we are fascinated by our own brains, there is still a lot to discover and to find out. This is because it's not that easy to experiment on our brains. Yes, all human beings and some animals have brains, but they're not all the same. The structure may be similar enough to refer it as the organ of the brain, but fundamentally, the cognitive processes are not exactly the same. One person may interpret and analyze the character of a storybook differently from another person. We will all never think alike. We're individuals with our own opinions. And there are many misconceptions of the brain. One is that we used to think that we're only using a particular area of our brain at a given time. But in fact, that is not true. We used to believe that when we're at rest, our brain are as well. And guess what? That is also not true. Our brains are constantly on. Even when we're thinking of nothing, our brains, on the other hand, are highly active. Let's pause and take a few steps back to where I've asked, how is it possible to have our brains function differently? And I think neuroplasticity is the key answer. So what is neuroplasticity? Let's ask our trusty friend and our favorite search engine, Google. So Google says, it's the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Neuroplasticity debunks another misconception that our brains stop changing after we reach a certain age. But that's not true. To be honest, neuroplasticity allows changes to occur to our brains all the time. It can happen to anyone to any age. It's forming new neural connections throughout life. And it allows the brain to compensate for injury and diseases and to adjust their activities in responses to new situations and environment. Now, stress relates to neuroplasticity, as the more we're exposed to stress, the more it creates a pattern in our brains. It's just like with muscles. Brain patterns grow stronger with use. When given enough reinforcement, these patterns then become locked into place. Once these patterns are locked into place, it becomes much more difficult to go back to the unstressed state, as the brain learns that this new stress state is the normal state. That's why it's very important for you to take care of you, yourself, and your brain. It's extremely important for all of us to be aware of how detrimental stress can be on our health. It affects the tone of our central nervous system, our hormonal balance, our immune system, and our mental processing and emotional control. Stress produces hormones that can damage our brain's connections. Now, high levels of stress are shown to destroy memory, judgment, and a person's ability to quickly retrieve those memories. We must all learn how to control our stress, or else it would lead to bigger problems. And it's no-brainer that stress can lead to depression. We're also young. We should be ready to deal with stress. And when there's stress, there's anxiety. And anxious thoughts can lead to physiological changes, such as an increase in migraines, fears, phobias, sleep trouble, anger issues, and many more. Basically, almost every system in our body suffers when it's under prolonged stress. One could speculate that this process of neuroplasticity opens up the possibility to reinvent yourself and to move away from past traumatic events that evoked anxiety and stress. These hardwired fear-based memories often lead to avoidance behavior, which then holds you back from living your life to the fullest. Now, with the concept of neuroplasticity, we can improve learning, memory, and solve problems with anxiety and depression. Let's look at a popular method of dealing with stress, anxiety, and depression. It's called mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Once again, we will need to consult our favorite search engine, Google. And when you Google mindfulness, you receive so many positive research and news articles. Here, I'll give you some examples I've taken off of Google. A neurologist named Schertzai says people who are exposed to chronic long-term stress shows shrinkage of their hippocampus, the area that is responsible for learning, memory, and emotions. And for people who manage their stress and meditate regularly, the size of their hippocampus actually increases. From this, we can say that yoga is a very important activity in our lives. Not only does it stress your muscles, but it expands our hippocampus. If brain plasticity allows stress to change how we behave, then brain plasticity can also reverse that behavior. So is it possible to steer our brains away from depression, stress, and anxiety, and into a better lifestyle? I would say yes. Mindfulness-based training stops the hippocampal atrophy by improving the natural conditions in the body that causes an increased connection within the brain. Now, those connections then build resilience and delays the brain's cognitive decline that comes with aging. In fact, the same neurologist, Schertzai, has listed 3 main points to remember when managing stress and our emotions. First, develop a system where you constantly evaluate the stresses in your life and define them as good or bad. Second, focus on one task at a time. Don't rush it. Don't multitask. And third, establish key priorities for yourself and set appropriate expectations for you to achieve. By expecting too much, you're likely to see yourself as a failure. I want all of you guys to strive. So remember to take care of yourself. I want all of you to take from this presentation is a new outlook on life and how our brains work. Once you start to understand yourself and your needs, you will have a clearer path to your future. We all face stress and anxiety in our daily lives, but it's up to you to take control of your own life. Now, you all might be wondering why I have cute pictures of cats and dogs. Well, I thought it was quite relevant because studies have shown that pets actually decrease your levels of stress and anxiety. And who doesn't love cute animals? Thank you for listening. Yeah.